I grew up in a small town by a huge national forest. I would frequently go exploring various trails with my friend Mike. We would always bring a compass with us. It was so easy to get lost in the woods. The day after I turned 18, we planned to head out on a hike. Mike came to my house just after 8 o'clock, and I drove us both to a clearing in the forest. It was known as the main starting point to all of the main trails that meandered off into the woods. We had decided that we would finally take the longest route. There was a camping spot deep into the forest. We planned to make it there before sunset and pitch up before dark. All of the routes were color-coded so you could follow them without getting lost. We took the longest red route, which also had a picture of a tent on it, showing the way to the camping area. We had been hiking for about 4 hours when we came across a half-tree-covered sign up ahead. Underneath the sign, it looked like an old dirt road ran straight through the forest. It was evident that it hadn't been used in years, but it was still distinguishable from the surrounding foliage. Mike said, "Let's follow it for a bit, see if it goes anywhere." I was a bit hesitant, as I didn't want this to distract us from our original plan, but my curiosity got the better of me, so I agreed. The track had been reclaimed by the forest and was difficult to follow, but sure enough, through the towering trees, we could see a large wooden house up ahead. We must have walked that uneven track for about another half an hour, so we were long overdue for a rest. As we neared the building, a few handwritten signs greeted us. "Keep out," "Private property," and "Trespassers will be shot." The place had clearly been long since abandoned, so we didn't pay too much attention to them. The house looked tired and seemed to blend in with the surrounding forest. We approached the graffiti-covered door. A rusted old chain secured with lock hung loosely around the handles. I noticed a broken piece of old iron fencing hidden amongst the weeds a few yards away. Mike picked it up and tried to break the lock. It took a few attempts by both of us, but eventually, crack. We undone the chains around the handles and prized open the doors. A cloud of dust and dirt surrounded us. We both peered through the doorway while getting a pair of flashlights out of our bags. We made our way inside. The floorboards creaked as we took our first steps on the grime-covered floor. The place looked like it had been left untouched since at least the mid-1980s, judging by the decor. Streams of light filtered through the gaps around the boarded-up windows, exposing wild boar and stag heads that littered the walls. We decided to search the place. Mike went upstairs while I wandered into the kitchen. A combination of time and the enclosing forest had consumed the property, but I could still tell it was left in an immaculate condition. I could hear the house startle with every footstep Mike took upstairs. Fine wood dust floated down under him as he walked. I shouted to him, "Anything up there, Mike?" He came back a moment later. "Nah, man. Looks like my grandparents' house, but only dusty as fuck." I laughed. "Yeah, it's the same down here, dude." I walked out of the kitchen and I was faced with a door under the stairs. I tried opening it, but it wouldn't budge. I called up, "Mike, get down here, help me with this door." He came down and we both pulled at the doorknob. There was a small click and slowly it jolted open. The hinges seemed to scream at us as we pulled. We both turned our flashlights to the opening. There was a staircase leading to what we assumed was the basement. The steps were crooked and disjointed. We clung to the wooden railing as we descended. An old light switch illuminated at the bottom. I tried flicking it, but nothing. We flooded the room with our flashlights. There were large glass cases lining the wall with an equally large central case in the middle. All of them covered in a thick layer of dust, making them impossible to see through. Mike walked further in. "Geez, smells like something died in here." I responded, "Yeah, this really doesn't seem right to me." Mike suddenly shouted behind me, "Oh fuck, what the hell is that?" I directed my light towards him. He had wiped the dirt off one of the cases. It looked like a disfigured wax figure of a woman. I could feel a lump form at the back of my throat. "What the hell is this place, man?" We wiped a few more of the cases. Again, our eyes were met with more creepy-looking wax like dolls all clothed in different dresses. "This is fucked up, dude," I uttered while trying to compose myself. He came back to me almost instantly in a sheepish tone. "That's nothing, man. Look in the center case." There hanging was the clothed remains of a person bound together by former muscles. I retracted, nearly dropping my flashlight. "Nah, we need to get out of here, Mike. This place is rotten." There was a withered yellow-stained envelope on a small wooden table next to the central case. I went to grab it when we heard a loud tap on one of the glass cases behind us. We nearly jumped out of our skin. Mike stuttered, "Fuck this, bring it with us, we're getting the hell out of here." We ran out of that place like there was no tomorrow. We were spooked. We felt like we had just crawled out of the depths of hell. We didn't stop running until we came to the trail point we had eagerly left earlier. This trip was over for us. In our minds, we didn't want to be in this forest for a minute longer. We got back to my car about 3 hours later. We sat disheveled in the front seats. I pulled the envelope I had taken from my coat pocket and opened it. A handwritten note was folded inside. "Hello. I am a self-titled collector. There are many people who collect many different things in this world. Some collect antiques while others collect paintings. I know one thing though. Everyone collects things of beauty. I wasn't always a collector though. No, I worked for the family business. We were animal technicians. We would prepare deceased pets and hunters' trophies as preserved things of beauty. I was good, maybe the best at what I did for 20 years. I was a master taxidermist. One day a family came to me with an offer. It was a rare one, and one which I hadn't come across before. They wanted me to work on a deceased relative. It was the family's and the deceased person's wish, to preserve them forever. At first I was horrified, but they were willing to pay $5 my yearly salary. I spoke with my 2 brothers and father. They opposed it profusely. They said it was immoral, forbidden, and above all, illegal. After this point, I left the family business due to creative differences. I set up a small business of my own. I was in control. I worked on the family's relatives, a thing of beauty. Capturing someone eternally is something to be admired, no? I didn't get another offer of this kind, but it intrigued my creativity. The first of my collection came by chance. I was often lonely and needed some company. I lived out of the way, not many people, only the odd hiker. I preferred it like that. I picked up a young lady as she was working her usual spot on an evening in a town about 10 miles away. We went back to my place and things got a bit crazy. A mixture of pills and alcohol were the main guests at our party. When I became more aware a few hours later, my company had unfortunately expired. Such a pretty young thing, I couldn't just let her fade away into dust. She needed to be frozen in time. I was the one that could make that happen. An everlasting beauty. I cleaned her up and worked my magic. She was a natural masterpiece. Once I had finished, I dressed her in a stunning yellow dress. She was ready for her podium. I placed young Monique behind a glass case with a small plaque, "Monique, the original beauty." This, unbeknown to me, would be the first of many. I must admit the many accidents may have been slightly forced by me. What can I say? I was impatient. My collection now stands at over 43 individual pieces of elegance. They are all lavishly dressed and cased, standing in an eternal walkway of exquisite grace. Many may have other feelings towards what I do, what I collect, but after all, I only encapsulate a brief moment of life and present it eternally. I have nearly completed my collection, after all these years. As I place the last case in the center of my hall of trophies, I fit the rope to the top of my podium. I will not be preserved, I will not be eternal, but at least I will be surrounded by pure, beautiful artistry. People will not understand. I felt sick. Even writing this back now makes every hair on my body stand on end. The thought of being surrounded by all of that death in one room made my skin crawl. After reading the repulsive words, we both decided to report this to the police using this note as evidence. They searched for miles into their woods, for days, weeks even. They found no buildings, no signs or anything we had previously told them. I think they even started believing that we had made the whole thing up as some sick joke. We both know what we saw out there. The proof is written in that note. We haven't been in that forest since, heck, we ain't even spoke about it. Someone out there knows what that place is. Maybe his family. Maybe he had an accomplice. That house didn't board up and lock itself, did it? At this point, to be honest, I would rather just forget the whole damn thing.